Welcome back to Between Two Rigs. I'm Jeremy Compton, VP of Engineering at DET Consulting. First and foremost, we want to say thank you to all of our customers. We are getting busy. It looks really, really good right now. It looks even better in August and September. We have projects booking up in multiple plays: West Texas ops, Haynesville ops, deep Haynesville, Louisiana, East Texas, Haynesville. We have South Texas going. We have deep Austin chalk wells coming. Lots of really exciting stuff. Lots of different type of wells. And I mean, we're so blessed, and thank you to our customers for coming back to us and trusting in us and allowing us to become a part of their team. Okay. This week's episode is going to be a tech talk. A lot of conversation going around between us, our customers, different people, some things we've seen in the last 30 days. I mean, things we've seen in the last 15 years, but let's talk about the last 30 days. We are solving losses in the lateral while drilling, and not just with light mud weights. We had a well this last week that we lost returns, complete returns at drill rate with 13.5 pound per gallon oil-based mud. We pulled up above it. We were able to get a little bit of fluid moving, barely, at a slow pump rate, reduced rate. What we did, we came in, we started hitting it with sweeps. Obviously, sweeps don't work if you're above your loss zone unless you have complete returns. So we pumped the sweep down. When it got to the bit, we lowered our displacement rate. As soon as it came out of the bit, we started seeing some fluid movement. So we got past that loss zone and drilled with partial returns. Soon as those collars got by it, we hit it with another sweep. Bam, locked it up. We're down to 10 barrels an hour losses. Then we're hit it with another sweep and we're there. Sometimes in these circumstances, we have to spot a peel and pull up above it and give it a couple hours and then squeeze it in. But we're really getting our sweep recipe right with these products that we're using, where we're using a blend of squeeze agents, we're using a blend of fibers, we're using a blend of all different materials. So we're basically squeezing this with our ECD. Same concept as spotting it and putting pressure on it. We're using ECD pressure to do it, and we're having a lot of success. So going down another path, same thing we've seen happen. We talked about the brine a couple episodes ago where we had 400 barrels an hour losses. We used the sweeps, locked it up. We were able to keep drilling, never come off bottom. Going from complete losses, though, to no losses with sweeps and not having to spot a peel is really big, especially with 13.5 oil-based mud. So what's really been coming up even more than that is, why are we solving losses while we're drilling? Are we solving them just so we don't lose mud? Well, the short answer is yes, and the long answer is no. We're solving losses while we're drilling to maintain returns, to clean our hole, but we're also concerned about that production cement job. We don't get a good production cement job. We failed as a group. That's an objective. That's a criteria. That's a goal that we have on every one of our wells. The well that we lost, 400 barrels an hour with the brine, we lifted cement to surface. Beautiful thing. What we're seeing in our Haynesville wells and our deep Eagle Ford wells, one, casing design matters. If you run a 5-inch collared pipe in a hole, your ECDs are significantly higher than running a 5-inch semi-flush in your 6 3/4 wells. What really is mattering is we're seeing multiple things. You can't put a check mark to something and say this is how we get cement to surface. First and foremost, mud properties matter. One, we need our mud to be as thin as possible and still maintain its weight. If we're at a 15.6, 15.7 environment in the Haynesville, we're at 350, 360 degrees. We need that mud to, one, have a very low HPHT. That is important. We need a good filter cake. We don't need the shell swelling. We need to be able to trip in and out of the hole, and we'll get into why that is so important here in just a minute. What we also need is, we need that mud to be thin. We need our pumps on, pumps off ECDs to be as small. That delta is possible. When we have a 15.6 mud and we have 4.5-inch drill pipe and we're pumping at 350, 400 gallons a minute. The delta between our pumps on and our pumps off is huge. The delta between our pumps on to pumps off to trip swab is even bigger. You can see 2.5, 3 pound difference between your swab tripping versus your pumps on drill rate. These are very important numbers when we're talking about losses, hole stability, and lifting cement to surface. What matters in those is getting those as small as possible. Obviously, at DET, we use MPD techniques. Our men are trained in that. We're able to implement it on the rig without having all of the MPD fiasco. We use choke systems. We trap pressure. We minimize our pumps on, pumps off every connection. Same thing when we go into trips. We're preventing swabs. We're doing math on it. We're calculating. This is all stuff that we're doing to change this delta and get it closer. But why this delta and get it closer matters is a couple of things. So say we have a weak zone and we have some losses. We have seepage. We're injecting in, getting a little bit of ballooning. Well, we go in there and we solve that loss zone. We put some LCM across it. One, we're putting LCM across it that is going to build compressive strength. We're not just putting an inert material. It's going to get stronger over time and harden and thicken. You wouldn't pump concrete that didn't build compressive strength. Why do we pump LCM that doesn't build compressive strength? Put something in the well that's going to get stronger. Say we solve these losses though. We get an inch or two of injection with the sweep. It starts hardening. We're good to go. We've got a little bit of trap pressure in there from ballooning in our ACDs, but we get ready to make a trip and we start yanking that pipe out of the ground. And our swab pressure comes down 2.5, 3 pounds from pumps on to what we're seeing now. That doesn't work. What we're going to end up doing is swabbing and sucking that lost mud back into the wellbore. Well, then we create a ballooning issue when we trip back in and we surge. We need to be mindful of our swab pressures when we're talking about treating a wellbore and keeping it stable. It's just not so we can trip back in without having to wash and ream, and trip back in and not having to wash and ream because our mud properties have gotten the shell a little water wet because we're not dealing with products that work well in that hot of an environment. What that is doing is keeping our hole integrity there, dealing with the losses that we've already solved and not allowing that wellbore to destabilize, and also it's keeping that stable. Why does that stable matter? So we get ready to run our production string. We're running a 5-inch string and a 6 3/4 hole in our deeper Eagleford Haynesville wells. We want to get it down. We lose displacement in these wells with a lot of operators. It's commonly seen when, number one, we don't have our mud in good shape. It's too thick. Number two, we didn't deal with the loss zone while drilling. Number three, we raised our mud weight too high to make a trip to keep the wellbore stable and the gas at bay. And now our surges are over what our hole stability will allow, and we're starting to inject. All of those are scenarios that are happening. Well, how do we deal with those? Number one, we need to treat losses while drilling. Number two, we need our mud to be in very good shape. Number three, semi-flush versus collared pipe matters. It helps on our ECDs. Number four, if we still have some of these losses while we're running in the hole with our 5-inch casing, what do we need to do to solve that? Well, we're going to have to put something in front of our cement to be able to solve these losses. We see the same sweeps that we're using in drilling to solve these losses. We're using them in front of our production cement to fix damaged formation from the surge of our production casing string. When that 5.5 starts coming in the hole inside of that 7 5/8, especially if it's collared, that surge gets real quick, and you can break it down. So if you do break it down, we treat it just like we do when we're drilling and we lose returns in a lateral. We're going to put pre-cement spacer in front of it. We're going to circulate our wellbore clean. If we have 0 returns, we're going to go ahead and pump LCM at the beginning. If we have decent returns, but we're concerned about lifting our cement, we're going to put that LCM spacer somewhere around 30 to 50 barrels at 30 to 50 pounds per barrel, depending on what amount of losses we're seeing. And we're going to pump that right ahead of our cement. That's going to seal those losses. That's going to coat it. And then it's going to squeeze in as our cement passes it. We're seeing losing returns on some wells that we run 5-inch casing on, and we're still lifting cement to surface. We lose displacement and we get cement to surface. That is a function of good mud properties, better LCM, and good procedures in using a pre-cement spacer. It works. We do it over and over and over. The same principles we use while drilling to solve losses are the same principles we use while cementing to solve losses. We do it on surface, we do it on intermediate, and we can do it in the production section too. And why should we not? Because 15-6 oil-based mud costs a lot more than spud mud on surface. Yes, we're concerned with regulatory on surface, but on production, we're concerned with getting a good cement job. So that'll wrap up today's Tech Talk. I could talk about this for hours, I promise you. We live and breathe it. It's been really something I've tackled in the last 15, 20 years, and I'm getting better at it. We're getting better at it. Our field personnel have gotten great at it. Our other engineers are getting great at it. Our vendors are getting good at it. Like, it's becoming together as a team effort. We know how to solve losses, and we're doing it. And we're not just doing it for our wells. We're helping a lot of other operators out. Don't be scared to call and ask us some questions. We'll definitely point you in the right direction. Till next time, y'all keep it salty. And remember, DET is crushing it, and we're going to keep doing that.